Well, good evening and welcome to 13 Now. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt, and we are once again coming to you live from our newsroom, from our studios on Harrison Avenue in downtown Panama City. With the runoff election less than 2 weeks away now, we are bringing you the candidates who want your vote. In Panama City, you probably already know there are two men who want to be elected mayor. Both are joining us tonight to talk about the issues. Please welcome incumbent Mayor Greg Brudnicki and retired surgeon Dr. Michael Rohan. We appreciate both of you gentlemen coming out tonight. We want to go over the rules quickly, so you already know, but I want to go over them one more time. I'll ask each of you the same question, starting in alphabetical order, and then we'll alternate. You get 1 minute to answer each question. If there's a follow-up question or a rebuttal, you'll have 30 seconds to respond to that. Our digital online reporter, Coram Byers, who's seated behind us, is our timekeeper. He'll let you know when you have 15 seconds left and then when your time is up. Gentlemen, we'll begin with a 1 minute introduction in alphabetical. Mr. Brudnicki, you go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Greg Brudnicki. I've lived here since 1965, moved here when I was 9 years old, and been a resident of Panama City since 1965. I have a wide, diverse background in business, and there is no substitute for strong leadership and proven experience. I have led the city through 2 hurricanes, through 2 bouts with COVID, and the biggest wildfire in the history of the state of Florida. So after the storm, we had a huge we had 90% of our city was damaged or destroyed. And so we had to go back and sit down with the citizens, and we said we didn't want a government process. We wanted a citizen-driven process to
You can finish your sentence.
Okay, to rebuild the city.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Rohan, 1 minute.
Good evening, Amy. Thank you for having me on this forum. I appreciate it. People are asking me, Mike, are you crazy? Why are you running for mayor of Panama City? You just finished 45 years of orthopedic surgery. Why do you want to go on? I want to be the mayor of Panama City because our present mayor is a tax and spend liberal. I am a conservative, and I think I want to get this city going in a conservative direction, and I believe I can do it. Let's look at an infrastructure example. On Harrison Avenue, we needed sewer and water. We got sewer and water. We also got cobblestones, and we got a wide sidewalk. This money could have been spent elsewhere. I think we need to fix all of our roads, then we can come back and do cobblestones if we want to. Our taxes increase every year. We also now have a fire tax. If you elect me as mayor of Panama City, I will prioritize our infrastructure, the repair of our infrastructure. I will attack the most serious problems first. I will treat all the wards equally.
Time's up. One sentence.
I will spend money as if it were my own.
All right. Thank you both, gentlemen. Let's start with the need for new businesses. Voters recently said yes to a property tax referendum giving incentives to incoming businesses, so they'll want to locate here. Were you for it or against it, and why? And alphabetical, we'll begin with you.
Absolutely for it. We have to compete. For the last 12 years, we have to compete with all neighboring cities, states for business. And different states, Alabama offers some unbelievable incentives. And so you have to be careful when you do it, but you need to make sure that when you vet a company, that there are incentives for them, but they have milestones that they have to meet before you give them their money back. In other words, you pay the taxes, and then after you pay the taxes, if you meet all the milestones, then you get the taxes back. So that's one of the things that they weren't doing in the past, and that was one of the things that I thought was absolutely necessary to get businesses. And from a standpoint with incentives, you have to be able to also incentivize businesses that you already have in your community.
All right. How did you feel about it?
I voted against that tax incentive, and the reason I voted against it because 2 large companies came into Panama City a couple of years ago. Both of them stayed very briefly, then packed it up and left. As far as I know, they took their money with them. Now, if the process had changed, and I did not know it changed, I don't know all that much about it, but if it changed to guarantee that these people stayed and to guarantee that we didn't lose money, I could go along with it then. But I do know of two large companies that came here, took the money, and they left. They're no longer around. So I feel in the past it certainly has failed us, and that's why I voted against it. I could certainly look at it again, but as of the last time, I was a no.
Okay. Were those companies Bay County or Panama City city limits? I know Bay County had an issue some years ago.
They were both Bay County.
They weren't inside Panama City city limits. Yeah. One was it Redfern?
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the other one.
One was right downtown next to C&G. Jellyfish, I think it was called.
No, Jellyfish is not one that failed.
It's not here any longer.
It didn't fail, though. The person that has Jellyfish still lives here. Not the same one.
Okay, well, we'll have to look into that because my memory's not serving me, so I can't remember. But I remember the one from the county. In the past, we've seen a problem with homeless people wandering around downtown. The rescue mission is also downtown, recently reopened since the storm. How can the homeless population be addressed, and how do you feel about the rescue mission and its location? Mr. Rohan?
Homelessness is a real problem. There was an article by the sheriff down in Apalachicola recently, and he went out and he surveyed all the homeless people. He offered to bring them in to his headquarters, I would imagine. He was going to teach them, he was going to give them the opportunity to graduate or to get a job, to learn a skill, and to eventually have a place to live. After he talked to all these people, he asked them to come back and make an appointment, and none of them showed up. So I think a lot of these homeless people are not interested in getting any better. I would like to help them get better if they wanted to, but that does not seem to be a process that's going to work. As far as the rescue mission, if they follow the law, they can't be loitering, they can't be downtown bothering people, then that's okay. But they need to comply with the law, and if they don't, they need to be moved out, jail, something.
All right. How do you feel about the homeless population? How's it being addressed, and the rescue mission?
I think that the homeless situation that we have downtown is much, much better than when I was elected 12 years ago. I think that what we need to be concerned with is the temporarily homeless people of Panama City and Bay County, not concerned with people that come here from somewhere else. I would like to do more for the local people, that someone that used to have a home and wants a home again. There are vagrants and there are homeless. And so when you're dealing with that issue, it's very sensitive. I think that if a homeless person comes here from Tallahassee, they need to go back to Tallahassee. And the homeless people here from Panama City and Bay County, we need to do more for them, the ones that used to have a home and want a home again.
Let's talk about education. It's a key factor for any city. A good school system is paramount to attracting new businesses and families. How would you rate Bay District schools? Is the current system here a help or a hindrance when you're trying to attract businesses to Panama City? And Mayor Brudnicki, you go first.
Well, our school system, it is getting better. We've got we have some really good schools. We've got some that are not so good, and it really depends on the demographic. You know, a lot of the people that are involved in some of the schools, they're in some very tough neighborhoods, and there are actually families where they have to call the parents to wake them up to bring the kids to school, a few of them in some of the schools. So if you've got schools where you've got parents that are involved, that certainly helps. But schools are critical. When we want to attract a business here, we need to make sure that we have the bench strength in the community to provide the labor so that if we do attract a business here, that we can provide the workforce. And that is one of the toughest things that to do is to maintain that workforce and provide that for new business that come.
All right, just to follow up, what's the city's role with education? I mean, you're not a part of the school system per se, so how do you deal with that?
We participate with the school system on certain levels. I might do some mentoring, but as far as for example, one of the things that we did with Bay High is we bought a piece of property across the street from their stem cell center. Okay, that property, we're going to be participating with them and be able to use the Fine Arts Center that they're building over there. So there was a partnership there to say, okay, we'd like to be able to have access to this building. How do you do that? Well, spend some of your money, do the parking lot there, and so that it helps relationship between the school system and the city.
All right, Dr. Rohan, how do you feel about education? How important is it? And what do you think about Bay District schools when you're trying to attract businesses to Panama City?
Our school system is critical. My understanding of the recent grading of our school system is that it's not very good. I have heard people involved with Tyndall, and they've talked about how it's hard to recruit people to come to Tyndall because of the low rating of our schools. So I think we do have low-rated schools. How are we going to get them better? I think we need to look at charter schools. That's one way that I would encourage. And we don't really, the city itself doesn't have anything to do with education, strictly speaking, so I don't think we can do anything there. We can encourage the school system to embrace vocational education. Shop classes and things like that were all dismissed from high schools quite a few years ago. We need to bring those things back. We need more charter schools, and that will help get parental involvement. I think that there's some 16-year-olds that don't belong in school, and we need to put them out on the road. These people they're causing trouble in school. They're bringing the school down. They need to be gone.
And what's the city's role? Because you're not in the education system, but you need a good education system to attract businesses.
I'm not sure the city has a role. We want to have a well-run city with good police protection and good infrastructure, things like that. But as far as our role in education, the city can be open to students coming down, watch government in action, come to city commission meetings, things like that. So those kind of things can be encouraged, but I don't think we have a direct role.
All right. On to the topic that has been around for a while, the city marina. It was hard hit by Hurricane Michael. And while there's progress with a beautiful new restaurant and a hotel that's about to open, the Civic Center sits empty. What's it going to take to make a decision about renovating or rebuilding? And what will you recommend as mayor to getting the marina back to where it should be? Dr. Rohan, you go first, 1 minute.
As far as the Civic Center is concerned, I would recommend rebuilding it. I would get a price on rebuilding it. If it's at all reasonable, it needs to be rebuilt exactly right where it is. I think that would that could happen relatively quickly. We're missing a lot of cultural activity down there. Downtown's missing a lot of activities. So if I'm elected mayor, my first priority, or one of my first priorities, will be to get the Civic Center up and running. It's been idle 4.5 years. There's no excuse for that.
All right. Mayor Brudnicki.
Well, it has been idle for 4.5 years because FEMA did not set foot in the Civic Center for 2.5 years. They got engineering reports that we had 3 different engineering reports that said the building was 58% destroyed. We had $11,100,000 worth of insurance on it. They said it was $11,600,000 in damage. $11,600,000 won't even scratch the surface on that building. So we went after FEMA with an administrative hearing, and then we went to arbitration. And by the time we got through with that, up until and we were after about $40 million, up until just a couple of months ago, we were pretty much convinced that we were going to at least get that amount of money. Went before 3 judges. One ruled for us, absolutely, and the other 2 ruled against, and the judge that ruled for us excoriated those other judges, saying, how can you believe this? We had a guy from the company that okay.
Let's talk about the boat launch. That's there. There has been talk, and you've been accused of shutting it down when you get the marina back up and running. It's a very popular boat launch. You know, it's been there for years. Can you commit to saying you will not accept any changes at the city marina if it takes away that boat launch?
Yes, we will. We are not. We're all about creating access to the water. Okay, we're about to do Snug Harbor. I have no intention of voting. I don't think any of the commission has any intention of voting to close the boat launch on the city marina. So there was a rendering done from a company to put something on there when we thought we were going to be getting a lot of money. They inadvertently left it off there, or they assumed that we were going to have another one next door, and so it wasn't on the particular rendering that was done. So I have no intention, and I will never vote to ever close the boat ramp on the city marina.
How do you feel about the boat launch? Should it stay there?
Well, the mayor has been gaslighting us about the boat launch. He has said it's not going to go away. He's also said it's not going to go away unless everybody says it's okay if it goes away. I steadfastly refuse to think that that thing can go away. That is Panama City. It's been there a long time. People depend on it, and it needs to be there. As far as the Civic Center goes, there's a difference of opinion about how damaged it was. I know 3 people that went in there immediately after the storm and said it looked like there was very little damage. Then the city went in and sent a bunch of workers in there, tore out all the sheetrock. Now it's simply a great big empty shell, and structurally it looks perfect. So I don't see any reason that we can't rebuild the Civic Center and keep the boat ramp where it is. If the city tears that Civic Center down, they're going to get rid of the boat ramp. You can take that to the bank. It's part of their overall plan.
Well, the mayor just said that he won't do that. You're calling him a liar?
Yes, he's wrong.
Well, no.
Well, how can you know that in advance?
He has said at the commission meetings that he'll get rid of the boat ramp.
I have not said that. That is a bloody lie. You are lying. I've never said that.
If everybody says it's okay, if everybody thinks in their mind that we don't need any more boat ramps, then he's going to move it or do something with it. Now, since I've entered the race and I've challenged him, he's gone, and I'm glad. I'm glad now that he said he wants to keep it there. He's on my side. I'm all for it.
Mayor.
Listen, as I said earlier, our goal was to have 10 accesses to the water. Snug Harbor will be number 7, okay? And we are not going to get rid of any boat ramps in the city. I mean, there is so much pressure now on the bay. There's so many people using the bay because, snapper season, well, the governor said today it's going to be 70 days. But so more people are using the bay. We need access. And the thing is that just the people from Panama City don't use our boat ramps. I mean, people from the county, people from Alabama, people from Georgia, everywhere use our boat ramps. And we want them to because we want to show them our beautiful downtown, all the different things that we're doing to create commerce downtown. So no intention of closing it.
Just out of curiosity, do you want to rebuild the Civic Center, because people miss it? Do you want to rebuild it like the size that it is now, or do you think that it needs to be moved and made bigger? People think, well, they can't attract concerts and folks coming in off I-10 and 231 if you keep it in that downtown on the marina, the size that it is.
We're going to explore, number one, what it will cost to take the building down. We will then, if someone will give us a bondable price that the commission can live with to redo it exactly where it is, we're going to weigh those two options. Because based on everything that we had looked at before, and when you say that there's no damage in there, we had people that went in, we put a temporary roof on it. I went in there just a few months ago after a rain, and there was 6 fresh puddles. I was in there the week before, and there was none. You had to get all the sheetrock out of that building because it was riddled. It would have been riddled with mold. There was no way in the world that it could be used, just the way it was. It really took a licking. So you have to weigh both options. If it costs X amount of dollars to take it down, or do you rebuild it in the place that it's in? It's all going to be based on the numbers.
All right. How do you feel? Do you like it the way it is now? If you become mayor and you have your brothers and you can do what you want, do you want to see it moved and built bigger somewhere?
Amy, the obvious thing to do is to rebuild it right where it is. Same size, everything's just like it is. And there's a couple of reasons. First of all, that would be price effective. I'm sure that would be the best price to do just that. And then it's small, but it generates a lot of business downtown, and people are proud of that. So what I would do, I would rebuild it right where it is. Then we start using it. We start making money on the thing. It starts becoming attractive. We put money in the piggy bank. Then, if we want to, we can go up like to the old mall, somewheres like that, and build a big performing arts center if we can afford it. But we got to take little steps. We can't just jump into this.
Well, it's funny that you
Can we
mentioned
do the rebuttal? I mean,
yeah, go ahead. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, the Civic Center with no debt, okay? The city was subsidizing it $1 million a year, okay, with absolutely no debt. No, we would have to that's how much we would have to put into the Civic Center every year to keep it going. So understand that it's not going to be a money maker, okay? It's going to be something that, I mean, we want it to be, but understand that if we have 30 or 40 or $50 million worth of debt.
Okay.
It is an amenity for the city. So what if it costs us some money? It's something that the people need and the people deserve. And I think that it may not make money over admissions, but it brings a lot of money to the restaurants downtown, and that is a benefit. And as far as the boat launch, I've heard the mayor complain at city commission meetings that there's a bunch of tourists using it and he wants to charge them money. That's ridiculous. We need to have all the tourists that we possibly can come down and use our boat ramp. It will improve the city and bring revenue.
That's not true about wanting to have tourists downtown, and it's not true about the Civic Center itself. I love the Civic Center. I want the Civic Center to stay there if it's feasible for it to stay there. That's
How many people does it hold?
2,500.
2,500. Don't you need it to be bigger, though, to really attract? Panama City's growing.
We can't make that bigger. And the mayor and the city manager reported at a commission meeting, they were down there taking license numbers and finding out that over half the people were from out of town. That's on a meeting. You can go back and look at it.
No, it was 90%.
Okay, 90% were out of town.
90%. So
you were complaining.
And that's why I said, no, I wasn't complaining, but I just said that 10% of the people that were using it were from Panama City, and the other ones were from other areas. That's how I know that. Okay. And so if if it's attracting people to come downtown, that's a good thing. I don't know how you.
That's not how I read it at the meeting that I was at and I listened to you.
I'm sorry.
How do you feel about the fact that there's now a restaurant and a hotel on the marina?
Well, my understanding is when you build a restaurant and a hotel, the most expensive thing that you have is the real estate. The company that built that got the real estate for free. So I think it's nice maybe to have the hotel and nice to have a restaurant, but that sits on 7 or 8 acres of Panama City that we lost the revenue. That could have been sold, I would say, for at least $1 million an acre, maybe $2 million an acre. So it's great that it's there, but I think we got the raw end of the deal on it.
Is that true?
Absolutely not. Doesn't understand the fact that we have a public-private partnership with St. Joe. We share in the revenue, in the gross revenues of what that hotel will generate and the restaurant. And the property taxes that they pay on the vertical construction alone between those two buildings, the tourist development tax that it will generate is going to be phenomenal, and it will be giving us millions and millions of dollars for years and years to come. And it has driven the value up tremendously downtown. I mean, that's going to be the nicest hotel in the city of Panama City. So,
get an incentive, a tax incentive?
No tax incentives whatsoever, and it is a gross receipts lease that will generate so much money for Panama City, a lot more than if we sold the property. And if you sell the property, we weren't interested in selling that. And they have all the risk, spending $35 to $40 million vertical construction on that piece of property. And St. Joe is an excellent partner. We couldn't have picked a better one.
So it's already there. Sure. So if you get elected, where are you going to go with that? Are you going to have, what kind of relationship will you have with a company or St. Joe with a private partnership that they've set up already? Because that's already going to be there if you step in. Sure.
I would, obviously it's set up and I would work with them. I want the rest of the marina to get opened up. There's a fence across it, and I wonder if St. Joe is hindering us in getting in there. I'm happy to work with somebody that's going to open the marina, and it's going to open it so all the people can enjoy it. But if I were building a house, I'd certainly like to build a house and not have to pay for the land, just pay my taxes on it. So I don't know how much money we're going to get. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think we've got any yet. But hopefully the private partnership will work out, and hopefully it'll work out to the benefit of both. St. Joe's a big company, and if they can help us, I'm all about it.
All right, let's move on to the fire assessment fee that has been put in place. The money goes to pay for fire services across the area. Do you agree with that fire tax? Why or why not? And how would you replace it if you don't like it?
I don't like the fire tax. The fire tax really doesn't go to fires. The fire tax goes to the general revenue, and it taxes everybody in town. It taxes even poor people that can't afford it. Now, supposedly those poor people can go to the city and ask for a waiver, but I've talked to several people and they've had no good results. So it attacks the people that can least afford it, the elderly, the people on fixed income. The way it needs to get replaced is pretty obvious. The city needs to reduce its spending. They need to tighten their belt. They need to spend less money. This tax just came about in 2020, so we got along fine. Maybe we needed more money back then, but maybe we were spending too much money. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm against the fire tax. If I can get 2 other commissioners and I'm the mayor, it's gone.
How are you going to convince them? 30 seconds if you get elected. How are you going to convince them? Because the board voted for it already. It's already in place, too, and that money's budgeted, I assume, moving forward. They figure it into future budgets.
Well, we'll have to look at the budget again. But when that fire tax came out, it was supposed to be at one level, and it was supposed to stay at that level. And then they were supposed to vote on it every year. Well, they're hiding now, because now it is increased every year, no matter what. And it just keeps going, like all taxes, it just keeps going up and up and up. How am I going to convince him? I'll talk to him. If I can't convince him, it'll be a 4-1 vote against me. But I know there's at least one other person that's interested in looking at it. And Billy Rader was interested too, but he's not around anymore.
All right, you got 1 minute.
I think it is the most confusing. You totally confuse people. The cost of the fire department is $11 million a year, whether it's a line item in the millage or partially in the millage and partially in the fire assessment, okay? Bay County has a fire assessment. The beach has a fire assessment. Springfield has a fire assessment. Mexico Beach has a fire assessment. You take the $11 million, part of it is in the millage, part of it is in the assessment. 73% of the people in Panama City, 73% of the property owners pay all of the property tax. The other 27% pay nothing. So now part of that assessment slides over and is paid by that 27%. And yes, we have had people with hardships, if they could not pay it, and we've worked out several for people. But the cost, your overall dollars, whether you call it an assessment or a millage or whatever, is no more than it was before.
So it's not just property owners paying that?
It was 73% of the people that pay, of all the property in Panama City. 73% of the people pay property tax. 27% don't.
Renters, like, for example.
Well, no, not for profits, or they're under the limit. So, but they still call and use the fire department. It is the fairest way to spread out the cost.
How long is this thing in place?
You
vote on it year to year?
Well, I mean, the amount of money that you have, it is.
But will the commissioners vote on it again, or is this just in place
forever? Well, they will, just for the amount of how much it is. But the just like you vote on the millage, the assessment is split.
Okay.
Your cost of the fire department is between the assessment and the millage, and the less you put in if you have no assessment, then it all goes in the millage, and then the 73% pay 100% of the cost of the fire department.
All right. Do you agree with that?
No.
He doesn't understand.
The fire, I understand it fairly well. The fire assessment is against everybody, and it happens every year. It has nothing to do with the millage. It's a total separate tax, and it's taxed on the parcels and how much improvement of the parcels. It has been voted on. It automatically, what they did, they used to vote on it every year. Now it automatically increases every year because they don't want to have to face the taxpayers. So it is an automatic increase each and every year. I would look at tweaking that fire tax. It can be improved on. If they need the money, if we have to have the money, we can do something else.
But something else is going to be a fee, just a different name.
It'll be a lesser fee, and we might be able to get grants to take up some money.
The
city needs to spend less money. They're spending too much money.
You have to pay your
Go ahead,
fireman.
30 seconds.
Okay. The amount that if you look at the county, if you live in the county, they have a separate line item, 1.38 fire assessment. Okay. It's right there. They've got a millage rate, and they've got it right there on right under that on your tax bill. We were more transparent. We said, okay, we're going to let people know just exactly what the assessment is and put it at the bottom. It's like a stormwater assessment. But the overall cost, money is money is money. Whether you call it assessment or you call it property tax, when you put it all together, there's no difference. It's just, it spreads part of the money out to people that were not paying anything before.
30 seconds, then we'll move on.
The fire department budget is about $11 million a year. In 2020, this fire assessment tax was passed. The budget is still about $11 million a year. The fire assessment brings in about $5 million a year. So it isn't really going to the fire department.
Okay, we'll move on from there because I have a feeling we'll be talking more about this in the coming 7 days or 9 days. I want to ask you both about the 9/11 memorial. It was destroyed, sat on the marina, beautiful monument, sat on the marina and was destroyed in Hurricane Michael. I think the towers are there and everything else is removed. I can't remember. I haven't seen it in months, but I know it's destroyed and it has to be moved. You know, it's kind of like the heart of Panama City. I've never seen such emotional responses because I posted a picture that I had of it from a number of years ago on September 11th of last year. And the responses on my Facebook page, well, first of all, people thought it had gone back up and they were happy about it. But it's going to be moved, but it seems to be a secret. Where is it going? What are you doing with it? And how important is it to our community to have that put back up properly?
It's very important. And I think that because we have other memorials over at the Garden Club that we were going to put it over there. So that would be where there's already several memorials at where the Garden Club is. Now we've got to rebuild the Garden Club, but
it's out of the sight. Like people want to see it. I don't know. Like I know where the Garden Club is and I love the Garden Club. But there was something about it being on the marina, being with the water behind it, being able to see. It's not that big. Is it that big of an expense to put it back?
well, I think we're going to have to redo it.
No matter what.
Yeah, we're going to have to redo it. I mean, that was suggested that all of those military emblems and statues and everything was going to be in one place. That way, when people come to visit, they could see them all.
All right. How do you feel about that memorial? Should it go back on the marina or be moved?
It should go back on the marina. There's no question about it. It's going to have to be rebuilt, rebuild it and put it back on the marina. It's something that we can go out there, we can look at the waves, we can listen to the birds and enjoy ourselves. And it's a very important memorial. I had no idea that there was talk about moving it. I don't know if I'm not hooked up to the right news or it's
follow my Facebook page.
Okay, but I'm with you. It's tremendously important that it stays right where it is. It's going to cost money to rebuild it and put it right where it is.
No final decision's been made yet. So
okay, will the commission vote on that? How does that end
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a vote then,
yes.
And people get a chance to speak about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, have they talked about moving it over to the Garden Club? Because I've heard that there's talk of moving it to the Garden Club.
Yeah, there was talk, but
I don't think it was anything formal. Was it anything formal?
No, not at all.
But I'm just telling you, residents want to see it somewhere where they can see
Sure,
it.
absolutely.
That's just me.
Well, I'm afraid it'll get snuck in there and all of a sudden get voted on and be gone. So
that brings us. We're going a little over, but I think we're going to keep going. That brings us to community involvement. It's hard to get people to come to a meeting unless there's just a hot topic like a tax. How do you encourage people to come to a meeting or to get involved in their city? Everybody's busy. They're running their household and they've got lives or 2 jobs and the kids and school and soccer. How are you going to get people there when they feel like they've elected you to handle the city business?
I think the first thing that we could do is we should address these people and treat them more respectfully, give them plenty of time, maybe more than 3 minutes to get up there and talk. If they're talking on something really good, let them talk a little longer, try to explain things to them. But I think we need to make them feel wanted. We're not going to get a lot of people at meetings. That just doesn't work. I've seen we've gone to meetings in the afternoon, we go on to meeting in the morning, and we don't really get that many more people. I think putting the things online and putting them on social media is tremendously important. If we can notify people ahead of time that this is what's going to happen, and we have to use social media. Use the city's got a great website. Put it on the city website so people know that it's going to be there. We welcome them when they come there. We get them to stand up and talk if they want to talk. We treat them respectfully and listen to them and actually then try to solve their problems. I have some people down there that come back week after week after week or month after month with the same problem and never get a solution.
When you talk about time frames and you talk about people coming, look how hard it is to get people to vote. I mean, we had 16.5% of the people voted in the last election. So, we have people that will come to meetings every single week. You know, there's just a few. If usually it's a single purpose issue for someone, we have it at 8 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, we've tried, different venues and stuff. If it's something that concerns someone, they show up. Okay. And if not, then, but a lot of people watch it online too. They watch our meetings, on the computer, which couldn't do that before. We don't discourage anybody from coming to a meeting, and we give them ample opportunity to vet their problems, and then we try to do our best to make sure we solve them.
All right. Well, we're winding down, so what I'd like to do now is I debated about whether to do this or not, but I'm going to let you ask each other a question, but we're just going to do a 1-minute answer, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll wrap it up. Mayor Brudnicki, I'll have you ask Dr. Rohan a question, and then you'll have 1 minute to answer, and then we'll reverse it, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I hadn't even thought about it. I guess that, it seems like since this whole process started that you've seemed to be not, different issues and things that this city have going on. I want to make sure that that you understand that I am a person of integrity and character, and that I've lived here since I was 9 years old, and I don't try to ever personally attack you on anything. And there has been quite a few things that. Okay, all right. So, what do you think that you can do better with what you've done in the past? What do you think you can do better than me as mayor?
1 minute.
Well, the first thing I would do is something that you have pledged to do tonight for the first time that I'm aware of, and that's to keep the boat ramp downtown. So I would continue to follow that. The next thing I would do is there's a big fence across the marina so people cannot get down to the T-dock. That's the area on the end of the dock where the 9/11 memorial should be. I would take that fence down quickly. That area needs to be open. We obviously need a rail around it, but a rail could be put around it very quickly. So we put a rail around what I would put a rail around that. I'd open the T-dock. And you've talked about it this evening, and I think I would do exactly the same thing. I would get prices on rebuilding the Civic Center as it was versus tearing it down. But I would be strongly in favor of leaving it where it is. And the reason is if you tear it down, that property becomes the property of St. Joe. St. Joe gets to say what goes on there. If we leave it as Civic Center as it is now, it's our property. The city manager said that at his last meeting.
All right. Ask a question to Mayor Brudnicki, please.
Okay. I have kind of a personal question to ask Greg. Someone on your team on social media has made disparaging remarks about one of my children. He has made remarks about one of my children regarding an event that happened 25 years ago. First of all, do you think it's fair to pick on one of my children who may have done something wrong 25 years ago? And doesn't this sound like bullying? I haven't heard you make a comment, but this is a very close friend of yours and a very close follower of yours on the campaign trail. And afterwards, I can give you his name if you would like to know it.
1 minute.
Yeah. First of all, I have never wanted to participate in any negative politics. If this particular person has done this particular person has done it on their own accord. And I know the particular person you're talking about, and that person is not working in my campaign. That person is a totally independent person, and anything that he says and does, I have no control over.
I understand that, but he has a close relationship with you. Have you told him to quit?
He doesn't. He doesn't have a close. He has a business relationship with me if I go into his establishment. But other than that, I have not encouraged him to do anything.
Have you discouraged him?
I didn't even know that he did this the last time that we ran until he told me. So
all right.
I have no idea.
Well, you know now, so you can talk to him.
All right. Well, and that's fine. And but quid pro quo, you need to have some of the people that are saying and putting disparaging things about me online to address them.
All right. I think we're good.
I think we're good.
I think we're good
You
right there.
sure?
But don't leave yet. I'm going to give them each a minute to just wrap it up. But I want you to not to talk about each other. I just want you to tell voters why they need you as mayor. And we'll start with you, Mayor Brudnicki.
Okay.
All right, right here, too. Everybody's looking at me, but I
Yeah,
want you to
I'm
look
sorry.
at that's okay.
As I said earlier, there's no substitute for strong leadership or proven experience. All of the things that I have had to deal with, dealing with FEMA, dealing with all of the issue, going to Washington, going toe-to-toe, getting money, sitting down, going and working with HUD, all of those things to rebuild our city. I do not like to toot my own horn, but there is a reason that Governor DeSantis sent myself and Mark McQueen down to Fort Myers Beach to help with Hurricane Ian because of the phenomenal job that we have done here. We had 2,750,000 cubic yards of debris in Irma, 5.7 million just in the 35 square miles of Panama City that we had to remove. It took 14 months. In 3.5 years, we've got this city built, so much done. I said my goal was to be half of the time that of Hurricane Katrina, and we're on pace to do that.
All right. Dr. Rohan, 1 minute.
I am asking you to elect me as mayor of your city. I will prioritize the rebuild process. I will look at the areas that have the most concern and work with getting them up and going right away. I will treat all of our wards equally to make all of them prosperous. I will spend money like it was my own. We have spent an awful lot of money on FEMA, and we continue to pay consultants on FEMA. I would think by now we would have learned something about FEMA, and we could hire our own individual in-house person so we could work on the rehabilitation of our city ourselves. So I promise, if you elect me mayor, I will treat you with respect, and I will treat any money that we have in the city as if it were my own. I will watch it very carefully and be a good steward.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both very much. We went a little long. Appreciate your time. Don't run off just yet. I want to remind everybody about early voting. It does start next week, Monday, May 8th through Friday, May 12th. Now, early voting is at Panama City City Hall. There was some confusion for the first election. So early voting, if you want to get out next week, Monday through Friday, Panama City City Hall on Harrison Avenue, and the hours for that is 8 to 5. If you want to wait till Election Day, Tuesday, May 16th, of course, the polls are always open 7 to 7 on Election Day. Ward 1 is City Hall. Ward 2 is A.D. Harris Gym on 11th Street. Ward 3, Messiah Lutheran Church on 390. Ward 4, Frank Nelson Building on 22nd Street. Just a reminder, this is at large. If you're a registered voter in the city of Panama City, you get to choose your mayor. So get out and vote. Don't let the moment pass. As you can see, there's a lot of important subjects. The future's at stake. So get out there and vote. We thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Amy. Enjoyed it.
And we thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.